Afternoon, boss. How you doing?
Boss, knock it out. I'd have to be an admiral to be your boss.
How you feeling today?
Never felt better, never had more.
Same. Blessed.
All that cash money, man.
I'm trying. You're doing the end of the month stuff now.
Reed Road, and he did text, so he does text. Answer me this: Are your stores all named alike?
They are now. I haven't changed the first two stores. I haven't changed the actual signage in the store and the outside of the store, but I just made the changes with the Secretary of State this month.
Okay, what do you call your franchise?
It's iWash 365 Laundry.
iWash 365. Okay, that's okay. That's all I need to know.
Oh, okay, all right.
And we're in the Google document, so if need be, you can bang off some addresses here and type them out. Put that in the thing for me later. Without further ado, we're going to call this guy up.
Okay.
The current operator has given up. He's been there for 8 years. The preponderance of his issues is that he bought the laundromat and could never recoup that cost. Not in reality. Didn't really know what to do. Willard is the landlord, and we're going to try his landline first. Here we go.
Hello?
Willard? Hey, Willard, I'm Danny.
Yes.
Is it Willard or Mr. Willard?
It's Willard.
Okay, hi Willard, I'm Danny.
Yeah, Willard, last name Buffkin, Buffkin.
There you go. And I'm Danny D'Angelo, my partner, Mr. Dominique. We've got what we call iWash 365 here locally. And not trying to blow anybody's socks off, but I've been in the business for 15 years. Not a broker, not an agent, not looking to sell or flip our stores, which I think is important. And here on Reed Road, we're always looking for locations with infrastructure. It's there. Actually, my partner got a call from your tenant, I think almost a year ago. Basically, I think he was looking for operators who kind of know the business and wanted a little leg up or some help. And we gave him that help. We talked to him about it, what he needed to do, how he needed to be 24 hours, how, in our opinion, he needed to revamp and renew his equipment. And you know how it goes. I mean, whether it's a steakhouse or a nail salon or a laundromat, you've got to do the work. And
without a doubt.
Here we are.
I could not, and I've told him the same thing, and I couldn't agree with you more.
I appreciate that. To start off,
my background is we had 3 hotels on the beach for 22 years. Myself and my wife started out with 28 rooms and ended up building to 187 and 58 employees. So we lived in one of the motels for 11 and a half years and raised 2 daughters in bunk beds in room 21. So I know a little bit about what you're talking about.
Wow. That sounds like a Netflix series to me.
Matter of fact, when we sold the hotels, I 1031 in the shopping center. That's the only reason I'm in the shopping center business. So I couldn't bring myself to pay the damn tax.
Isn't it funny, Willard, how life steers us in X and Y direction, and then here we look back and say, wow, I never thought I'd be in the laundromat business, I'll tell you that.
Well, you know, the crazy thing is when we had the hotels, I dealt with National Linen and Servitech for a while, and we were paying so much every year that I put in my own laundry, and we ended up doing our own sheets, pillowcases, bath mats, towels, washcloths, and then I put in 2 coin laundries for my customers. So we ended up doing everything in-house as far as laundry, and I paid for the equipment in 1 year by the savings of what I was paying them out of Myrtle Beach. So I've done that before, and so I know a little bit about the laundry business myself. But
I can't tell you how much I appreciate.
Competition for about 6 miles.
Yeah, I always appreciate talking to an operator, and that's in my opinion, who you are as well. So I own commercial property as well, so we can really talk eye to eye. You're an operator, you know what it's
Right,
like.
without a doubt.
You know what
Without
it
a doubt.
sounds like when that front loader's got a bearing out, and it sounds like the whole store is going to take a walk down the block.
Right, right.
I'm in no hurry,
Well,
but I
this
wanted to
is-
find out on this particular location. Frankly, cards on the table, I'm after infrastructure.
Right.
We know what it takes to get this place operating successfully. We're looking for a 15-year minimum term. That term is going to involve us paying the rent on time if it's commensurate and appropriate for a laundromat. I mean, we could talk for 10 minutes, or we can end up being friends for 15 years. The square footage is the proper footprint for us. The upgrades that are necessary are obvious, and we look to run this place 24/7, really elevate your center as well, because the security that we bring to the locations, you know, one customer is your best security blanket, and having them in the store at 3 a.m. means the knuckleheads stay out. We don't put dueling televisions in our stores. We use Alexa systems as far as being able to communicate with customers. Why not? I've got it in my house. Why not have it in the store? We do things a little differently. And I didn't mean to interrupt you. The questions are fairly simple on this square footage on 15 years. What's your asking rate? What can you do for us?
Well, I may need to go back and revisit. I just leased, because of our governor and paying people not to work, the restaurant next door that's been renting for me for 12 years. She basically closed the doors, but in less than 24 hours, I had it leased to a Mexican restaurant that's doing their upfits as we speak. They're paying $33,000, same square footage. They're paying $4,000 a month, but that includes CAM, everything. But they also signed a 3-year lease.
I hear you, and I don't mean to get ahead of you, but let me say this. What you have there is a perfect example of completely different business model. You've got a restaurant that lost everything. Let's face it, they probably had shit meals and didn't know what they were doing and ordered too much food. I don't know the restaurant business. I know what a good medium rare steak is supposed to be, but I wouldn't.
Well, no, actually they had great food, but the problem was her husband, she had 3 locations, and they just couldn't get employees. They were having trouble. It's Highway 55. I mean, it's a chain.
Yeah.
I don't know how many stores all in the United States and Canada.
That wasn't my argument. My argument was they were at the tipping point where that store needed to go, and now you've got someone new coming in that's razzle-dazzle. They've got money in the bank. They're excited about their Mexican food brand, and God bless them. I hope they do well, and that's the difference. With us, on this 2,000 square feet, we already know there is no razzle-dazzle. We already know it's going to take us 8 months to get our equipment in. The supply chains it's always been this way, Willard. You know this. You can't go to Lowe's or Home Depot right now and buy a washer dryer. So you can't expect to order 75 washers and 50 stack dryers and get them in a timely manner either. But we need to prep for that. Again, and I call it an argument, it's not. We're getting along splendidly. But at the end of the day, I'm not a restaurant. I'm not a nail salon. It's a laundry. I need to spend close to $250,000 on just furnishings and equipment, on just washers and dryers, and you know that. That's day one. And we drag that debt service throughout our entire lease. What do I mean? We ask for 15 because at the end of 7, we're going to be retooling. I never want to have a store in the disposition that your current operator is. He was calling us last week begging. He's calling my partner 3 times a day right now. He wants this deal more than anyone because he's on the hook for that lease rate. I get that. That has nothing to do with us. I've never spoken to the man. What we can do, we can't give you $4,000 a month at any point. We can't even top off at that, and you know that. Being an operator, you know that. I don't get excited. I don't fall in love with these stores until I'm bleeding ink or money, and I think I'm asking the same question. And the 2,000 square feet on a 15-year term, what's the best you can do for us?
I need to think about it a little bit. Let me think about it a little bit. I know. So you're talking about a flat 15 with no bumps every year, or just
no,
flat
sir.
15 rate, or?
No, sir. You have to tell me what the rate is, You have to tell me whether or not you appreciate a gross lease rate where there is no cams, triple net, and taxes. Doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
I am not, sir, playing a game with you. I don't do that. There's no need for games. Knowing that I know what your current tenant isn't paying. You know what I mean. I know what he's supposed to be paying, and he's not. The difference with us, frankly, we will have debt service on new equipment. You know what I mean. So it's not just paying the rent, sweeping the floors, paying some old lady to lock the doors at 10 o'clock every night and hoping to make money. That is not us.
Right. Right.
And I think that you know where you need to be. And we don't come into this as a national chain with tens of millions of dollars where we can afford to lose money on one store while we earn on the others. I can email you. Again, it's iWash365. You can go visit our service centers and our laundries. But at the end of the day, we're looking for another jewel in the crown here, not a feather in our cap. Feathers blow away. I want to see this thing do well for us. You collect rent as long as it's reasonable and commensurate for a laundromat, not a restaurant, not an additional business. And it's a no-brainer for you. Collect the rent. You want to sell this building? Do it in 2 or 3 years with a brand new, beautiful laundromat. Make it easier to get that investor involved. You have my cell phone number. You can text me. I have one question, and I'll even follow up with a text. What's the best rate? And I don't want to try to beat you up from there, frankly. I want to say, okay, this is the best he can do. You know, having run laundries, you don't want to have that 6 months out of the year in the summertime where you can't pay the bills.
Right.
I talk about failure because it exists. And the fear of failing is why people don't do this. You got one restaurateur leaving in your case, and the next one coming in all bushy-tailed and bright-eyed and ready to make money with their Mexican food. I hope they do. But you and I both as landlords, you kind of roll your eyes like, oh boy, these people want to sell Braille dartboards. You think, well, first and last month's rent, thank you very much.
Right. Well, the only thing, I've got 3 restaurants there. I think 3 of them are doing well because they are family and they don't really have to depend on other people, which is hard to get employees, at least for 1 more month in North Carolina. Then I think they'll start going back to work because they're going to cut their checks off.
Exactly right, Willard. And you know what I would never do to my family is make them work in my laundromats because, God forbid, I don't want to see my 17-year-old sweeping the floors in a laundromat. No offense to the people that, seriously, they work very hard. I'm 50 years old. I did 6 years in the Navy, and all I did was think about when I get out, I don't want to work for money. I don't want to take orders. Right. And I've set everything up that way.
Let me think about it a little bit, and I'm going to shoot you my email, and you can shoot me your information you had on your location.
Perfect. Text me your email address.
I'll think about it a little bit, and then I'll get back to you.
We're ready to move on this, and I think the happiest clam in the entire pond is going to be your previous tenant. God bless. Let me know.
Right. Well, let me ask you one thing. You're talking about 8 months down the road. How soon would you be ready to take over the space? And
immediately. And tomorrow, yesterday.
Immediately.
Of course.
So you could go ahead and start paying rent immediately, and then get if you got some equipment you could put in there while you're.
Those are 2 separate questions.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Those are 2 different questions. I'm ready to take over the space immediately. I need to know what your rate of rent, your asking rate is. And again, if you're not, we've spent a few minutes on the phone. I think I made a friend. But if you want to squeeze us for $4,000 a month, that can't happen for us because of our debt service.
Right.
The second and entirely different question comes after that rate, which is abatement. I can't pay rent for 8 months while I wait for equipment to come into my store. We're not made of money. And I don't want to say that to you in 6 or 8 months or 10 months. Like, oh, sorry, Willard, we couldn't make it. Can you give us some extended free rent? I want to come into this from the beginning, knowing and understanding what it takes. It's not about getting people to work. It's about getting our contractors in, getting the equipment that, again, is 8 months lead time right now. That's realistic. And I don't give a shit if I get Hips or Speed Queen or Wascomat or American Dryer or Dexter. I have relationships with all of them, and whomever brings me the best price, you know this. The equipment's all the same.
Right. So you're talking about you would be ready to start paying rent immediately, or are you talking about paying rent in 8 months?
We need an abatement period. And you and I need to figure out what that abatement period. I usually ask for 12 months on a 15-year lease. And I don't know your position. If you own that building outright, maybe you can weather that storm. If you don't,
Right.
you need to tell me. But first, the rate of rent.
Right.
I'm not trying to avoid the question. I would never come into a space like this. I'm not that, I keep picking on the Mexican restaurant, but I'm not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I don't fall in love with these stores again until I'm either earning or losing. And then I'm not going to take that moment in time and decide, well, now it's time to do something. I'm not sandbagging to try to keep the storm back. No way.
Right.
This is a deal where whatever our deal is, once it's on paper, you and I are going to follow through. And I don't want to take and rob Peter to pay Paul. There's no way. It doesn't make sense. You know that. Walmart comes in and they put a center in. All of a sudden, there's a police station and a hospital. Walmart pays for that. They have that because nobody wants a Walmart next to their house. But we sure like shopping there.
I'll shoot you an email.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. He's gone.
All right. All right. And Amber and I was talking. What puzzles us is, I understand both sides. Because hopefully one day we can be a landlord and own our own property. But when you're in the situation of what's going on, like what he has here, you have a failed operator who's constantly can't come to you for help with your rent, and your alternative is, well, I'm gonna make the next guy pay double. Well, you want the same thing to happen all over again? It doesn't make sense. It's like he's asking for help for rent for a reason. He was set up in the beginning the wrong way. And It wasn't a win-win situation for you and him. It was just a win situation. And we see that with a lot of the landlords, doing this with you. You see that the lack of understanding between, we're not like a retail store, we're not like a restaurant. You can't really treat us.
Well, that conversation has to happen, and it's something that has to be understood. I am not a bad guy. I don't jump on these calls. My reputation is that I tear into these landlords, et cetera. I don't. Until someone says boo, I'm not looking to create an argument, even though that's really what negotiating is. And that was a nice ebb and flow. Look, I know what I think. I want to ask you right now, what do you think about that call?
No, I think he really seems like he gets the point. He really seems like, too, he wants, it seems like he wants someone to pay rent right away. And he
asked more than once, right?
That more than once. So he's on the fence. It seems like he's on the fence, but he's really got to sit back and understand, no matter if you go with someone else, you're going to be back in the same situation, like you mentioned. You're going to be back in the same situation years down the road, because there's no way someone can pay you rent for 8 months and not make money.
Right. And look, my goal in the initial contact, he just texted me his email address, by the way. My goal in the initial contact call is to, when he hangs up, I want to affect his thought process. And I want him thinking, wow, these people know what they're doing.
Yeah. And I think you did that. And he's very eager to get someone in there. And that attests to what the operator had mentioned. He's been back and forth. He owes the guy money. And I think that's more reason why the landlords are on the fence. It's like, these folks owe me money, but now you're asking me to go without money for another length of time.
Right.
But
and I had to speak to that. I have absolutely nothing to do with his previous tenant. The fact that these calls are a gentle dance. There's a lot of nuances to it. And he gave me a gift when he said, well, I've got this restaurant who's left and they lost everything, and a new guy coming in paying me $4,000. Fuck does that have to do with me? Nothing. That's a completely different business. Okay, let me draw comparisons. People that do laundry also eat, and they both poop, and there's a toilet in the laundromat. That's the only comparison you can draw. I'm sorry. Right. Is that a stretch? But ironically, there's also part of that dance is who wants to hang up first? Who's in a hurry? Who's doing this, that, the other? The guy's, he knows precisely what he wants to collect here. And no matter what it is, of course, the game is, well, that's too much. And you're correct.
Right.
What I'm setting the hook and saying, you're going to get the rent no matter what it is. And that rent is going to come on time every time. We're not going to give you the headaches. It's funny you mention that, because as a landlord, what you want is autopilot. You look at that lease and you say, well, I'm going to be collecting $300,000 over the next 15 years. But you never think, the greed in you doesn't think about, well, what happens when they fall apart? Or what happens when I have to vacate this house and put new carpet in? People always talk about cleaning toilets. Who cares? Put a clause in there. Send your plumber. We don't have to do the dirty work. But it's the sleepless nights that are involved. This current tenant probably has the money to pay this lease, and that's why he wants out. There's a lot of nuances here. Bottom line, nothing just happened. Or did it? I did my job. I laid down the law. I let him know. And he's right now thinking, those are the people we want in this place. He might be thinking, right, get rid of the laundromat. And it is part of my goal, part of the nuance to say, no, laundromats are great businesses, but you have to be the one to make the decision to go with a good, strong operator.
And you also took the whole mom and pop concept. By the way the conversation went, it puts in his head, we're not a mom and pop. We're not just here and then going to be gone in 5 years. That's not us or how we operate. And he's going to, like you gave him the information, he's going to look us up and see that, okay, these guys are not like the current operator. They're for real and they're huge.
Well, I hate to tell you, he won't look us up. Just knowing, my brand new students are normally very fearful of that very thing. Oh my God, they're going to look us up. Now I've got Oronde Dominique and his beautiful wife Amber, who've been doing YouTube videos for me for what? When did you get your first store?
May of 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're all over my channel. This guy's not going to find you there. The internet is too vast. If I want to learn how to weave a basket while wearing scuba in the shape of a cat, you'll find a video on it. Don't look that up.
Oh, no, I'm looking up the actual business.
Right. No. And my student's greatest fear is, what if I call a landlord and I tell him I'm an expert in laundries? Well, don't. Tell them that you know the expertise that it takes to be good at this. And
correct.
when they do ask, I'm careful with my verbiage. You have to be. Never lie. Never. Lying is a death knell in business and the military, as you know.
Of course.
My partner and I have several successful laundries. True in our case. I've been in the business 15 years. True in my case. I, me, we, they, them. Then, of course, I dropped the name iWash 365 because he can look that up. But my point is, it's funny and it's ironic as well. He won't. It's just the method. It's the way that I talk. You know, he probably didn't even write it down. He may have. Doesn't matter. If he does, you're right. He's going to see that we understand. And the other and we keep on beating this dead horse, but you're right. He's very concerned about how long he's going to go without rent. And right now, we need an answer on rate. And the next step is to say, well, of course, we need, and I said, no lump in my throat when I say I need a year of free rent. Just because the equipment won't be ready for 8 months, hopefully 4. That's what they're quoting right now, but that's not a reality. You know that. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
all right. Well, right. We wait.
That's it. We wait. You sent him, you say he sent you his email, so the wheels are turning. You know,
of course.
The hamster's on the wheel.
And Oronde, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, the fact that you came back to me. I think that you know and understand how these agreements work. I think that you know and understand that you could get this done, but why do it yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned that to you from the last one. It's like, it's not me. It's like, nah, this is definitely your, this is definitely
forte.
You that good at it. But yeah, I did it once and it was, no, not again. This is, definitely.
Well, again, I appreciate it. And don't forget, if this location falls apart for you for any reason, keep scouting and keep sending me stores because I want to earn my keep. I want to sing for my supper. And at the end of the day, if this doesn't happen, as is the case with every student, I'll keep calling until you get a success in your corner. I'm not chasing the second half of my fee in these cases. You know that as well.
Yeah, yes, of course.
All right, sir. Keep your ear to the grindstone and your nose to yourself, and we'll talk soon.
All right, appreciate it.
I got
Have a good
landlords
day.
to beat up.
Good luck.
Later, bro. So we have that. I know there's a delay on these, and so everybody's sending in massages. And unless you skip to the beginning of this live right now, we're not going to be able to communicate. People are saying abrasive, etc. Bottom line, this is the way it works. And laundromats, phenomenal businesses. If I could touch on one thing, I think the odd disconnect is always, well, if all of these people are losing their stores, then how is it a good business? In this particular case, this operator who's in this store who can't pay his rent was already behind the 8 ball when he bought the laundromat. He told Oronde that. This all started when the laundromat operator picked up the phone and found an operator that had 4 stores in the area, called him, got him on the horn and said, I need help. How can I run this place the way you run yours? And Oronde laid out everything in my DVD. Did the guy do it? Did he follow up? Did the operator change anything? No. But he was looking at the bottom line. He was looking at the money that he owed for the purchase of the laundromat. If you buy a laundromat, you're already at a negative and going backward. People get excited about these deals because they've spent a little bit of time looking into laundromats for sale. I don't give a shit if it's New York, LA, or Nebraska. That's time. If you're seeing this now, you've spent the time, it's time well spent, get over it. There might be X percentage of people that buy laundromats and eventually become successful and make money. There are. But why would you want to give someone profit for their already failed business? Or let's say it's a beautiful, bright, fresh, gorgeous laundromat that says built by Maytag. That was Maytag in the 70s and 80s selling equipment in place for double its value. We all know how to flip houses in real estate, right? We've seen the DIY network shows. How do you flip houses? You find the worst house in the best neighborhood. You throw your sweat equity in, change the floors, change the ceiling tile, put it on the market and sell it before your mortgage comes due. Do you do it? Do you get out and do it? The work is up to you. In this case, why would you buy someone's flip to make money in real estate? That's what they're trying to do with these laundries for sale. I'm not beating a dead horse. I'm not beating you. I'm not beating these landlords. Everyone wins. If you want to be in this business, scout existing stores, knowing what you're looking for. Make these landlord calls, knowing what to say. Then operate not 1, but 2, 3, 10, 12 stores, knowing that your biggest problem is going to be what to do with all the cash. I got to get on the phone. If you don't have my DVD that covers all of this, get it. Later.